Good morning, scholars. As promised, here's your creepy demo. I've got a little Thelonious Monk live going on in the background for you. So just for fun, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with an image. So I found this cow skull online. I'm going to start with that image, and then I'm going to make it a little extra creepy. So let's go from there. My tools of choice, I'm actually going to mix media in this case. So I've got charcoal, I've got assorted charcoals, sticks, pencils, which I really like working with because they're compressed charcoal. And also, too, for those people who don't like to get their hands dirty, they're very handy that way. I also have my India ink out. I have an assortment of brushes, my water. And let's see, someone forgot their paper towels. So since I'm here, I'm going to use what I have on hand. And I'm going to use a small piece of fabric, actually, to dab my brushes and stuff. So let's begin. I'll start with some softer charcoal. This is usually like what you guys have on hand. And I'll work the same orientation as my source drawing just to make things easier. What I'm working on here is the heavier paper. Remember I talked about the mixed media paper. If you have it, that would be great if you still have some left. If not, then go on ahead and work on sulfite or work in your sketchbook. Remember, the heavier paper is better suited for techniques that involve moisture, where the paper is going to take a certain amount of water. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to start feeding this drawing. I'm really treating it initially like it's a charcoal drawing. I'm starting to think about my values. You guys know how to draw cylinders by now. You know how to shade them. You know how to shade cones. I'm even going to allow some of that tone to begin to inform a background for me. Going to go kind of light on the skull itself because I want to keep that relatively light. I'm also going to add some things to it that are not in the original image. So I'm keeping an eye out for that as well, and I'll show you those surprises in a moment. But I'm going to get the basic contour in as well as some of the initial values. This is our first mixed media assignment. Up to this point, we've just sort of been working in one drawing medium and one medium only. But you'll find that there's quite a bit of, dare I say, synergy or complementariness, if you will, between charcoal and ink, especially the way we're going to do it. So let's see, a little more in here. And I'm not giving away the entire story because I want to have a little bit of fun, both when I push this charcoal a little further, as well as when I go in and start applying my ink. But I do want a good value study, and I want a good measure of charcoal in my piece. Let's start adding just a little bit of value. I don't want to push it too much because, again, I want to add some things. In fact, now's a good time to add those things. Just kind of start blocking that in. Because I want my creepy cow skull to have sort of jagged teeth and fangs. So I'm going to extend what's normally here on the nasal bone and give it some fangs. Just in the interest of, I know that area I want to keep fairly bright. I'll start brightening it now. Good old kneaded eraser. And again, just for fun in here, I'm also going to add a creepy eyeball here. So, and I'm going to let that extend past the skull itself. So again, kind of thinking to myself what areas I want to keep white. Because again, once we go wet, remember you can't really go back. You're not able to go back. What I am going to do is I'm going to go back and assert some of that skull in here so that my creepy eyeball really kind of sits within that skull. I'm also going to extend my background just a little bit, a little background tone, just to make things interesting. Also too, that, remember, helps by defining this negative space around the skull. I begin to highlight the contours of the skull, and as such begin to make the contour lines disappear. And actually, since I'm here, what would normally be holes on the skull, I guess probably, indents probably for their trachea or something, I'm going to actually put in some more fangs. So again, this is, your creativity is up to you. How you define creepy is up to you. Keep in mind that creepy could also be a landscape. If we go back and look at some of the Stephen Gamel drawings that I posted from the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, you'll really see how he's kind of given the spooky treatment to just about anything. And he's basically using the same media that we're using. And let's see, I think I'm going to more clearly delineate this contour because I know I want to come back to it. Not because I need a hard outline for the finished piece, but I know I'm going to start adding wet media, and that might start confusing the issue a bit. So I want to be sure that my contour is very well defined. So, and I hear you in there, you're saying, but gee, Miss Hawkins, this was supposed to be a pen and ink drawing or a brush and ink drawing. Well, we're not done yet, boys and girls, ladies and gents, so hang in there. Hang in there. I'm going to define some of my edges just a little more. And so it's a good example of the value of sort of planning out your drawing in advance. And whereas normally you might be tempted to do that in pencil because that's what we're comfortable with, here you're doing it in charcoal, in a medium that's fairly complementary to what you're going to be doing in ink. If you just really can't let the pencil go, then you can certainly work with a charcoal pencil. The charcoal pencil is going to give you more detail. Being transparent, you guys, I looked for some of these for the class, and at the time Blick had completely run out. So I am keeping an eye out for you because I really do like working with them. I have a few left over from previous semesters, so I'm going to take advantage of my Stumpies in my collection. Again, you can use your soft charcoal. So again, I'm taking advantage of that good crisp edge. Again, either sharpening your the charcoal that you have, or by taking advantage of like a charcoal stick like this one, a pencil, to refine my edges. Again, just in the name of being definite about where I want to go with this. I also get a lot of my good juicy value. Again, adding a good amount of charcoal to the drawing. And I just hear your little soul screaming like, but it's supposed to be an ink drawing, Miss Hawkins. Hang in there. Just hang in there, true believers. It's coming. And just for the sake of joy and emphasis, I'm going to smooth my background out just a bit. Just again so you can really see the difference between the figure and the ground. Eventually that background really will blend in with what I do with the wet media. But for sake of demonstration, again, I want to show you that difference between the figure and the ground. And I'll take a moment, reinforce the sketch a little bit more, again with either your sharpened charcoal or in this case a charcoal pencil, and just to really reinforce my line work. Some of it's going to be blending in as you continue working and applying your wet media, so some of these things I want to get well established now. Again, you guys know how I feel about outlines, and these outlines too will become our usual round of training wheels. They're dark because I'm going to be applying wet media to them, so they're a little darker than what we normally see. And you know, outlines, you guys know how I feel about heavy outlines. But here, these outlines are going to really serve as kind of helping to define a contour in a situation where we're going to really almost obliterate our lines by adding water, adding ink to our drawing. So I'm really just right now establishing the drawing. Also establishing my value relationships. So here you can see where you can really cover a lot of ground quickly and fairly neatly. So if you guys happen to see these on the Dick Blick website or anything before me, do let me know, because I would like for you guys to use some of these. They're really very handy. And so with that, I think that we're in a comfortable state with our drawing. I'm going to put just a little bit more value in there, because after all, it is a value study. I'm not going to do the eye just yet. I'm going to just leave that nice white space open for future adventures. Because remember, with this medium, you can't erase. So you want to kind of think carefully about what you want to add. And I'm going to kind of wait to see where it's going to go. But at this point, this is where I'm going to close this segment of the drawing. One, to keep my video small as well. And so join me for part 2, where we start applying the wet medium.